champion Michael Ray. Michael, third win of your career. You won back in Englishtown earlier this season, and things are looking pretty good for you.
Yeah, you know, I've been preaching it, and now we're practicing what we preach, and it's consistency and momentum is how you achieve the goals of winning a national event, and then ultimately at the end of the year when it does really count in the countdown, I think we're putting ourselves in a really solid position to make a championship run, and you know, really couldn't be more excited. This is Star Racing's 80th win, and to come back out after Englishtown, you know, you always, after you win, you always want to keep that momentum going, and you think, oh man, we're going to go out and win. And unfortunately, last weekend in Epping, I just wasn't aggressive in the semifinals against Adam, and got beat on a hole shot, and definitely told myself on the car ride over here this weekend that either I'm going to be red or I'm going to be perfect. And fortunately, all day today, I was really solid on the tree, and George and Ken and all the guys have really been giving us an awesome bike, and you can't be afraid to go out there and look dumb. So, especially in pro stock, and for after a weekend, you know, we hurt a motor. We were really behind the 8-ball in qualifying. So I said in Epping, you know, no more qualifier is really cool, but I don't want to be the no more qualifier. I'd much rather be out of the bottom half of the field and get counted out so that everybody goes, man, where did he come from? And this is just such an awesome.
Going 698 in the final there. I mean, performance-wise, where do you think you guys are for Star Racing on the chart compared to everybody else?
I think everybody else needs to take note and start sending their motors to Star Racing and get some horsepower from us. There's not a better crew chief out there. There's nobody, you know, that's got more wins than Star Racing other than Vance and Hines. And you know, I think if Star Racing wouldn't have had to take a break off after the 2008 season, we would have well over 100 Wallies right now. So, you know, we definitely going in the right direction. You know, we not the fastest per se during qualifying because we really use those as test passes, but once we figure out what works, George doesn't touch it on Sunday. He goes, man, just like you did in the semis, he told me before the finals, do the exact same thing that you did and nobody can beat you. And he gives me the most confidence that I could ever imagine. And for a driver, when you got a crew chief and a team that stands behind you like I do, you have nothing to be afraid of out there. And going 008 against Matt in the final definitely showed that I'm not afraid of racing, even though we do have a pretty good history together of racing together, and you know, a little bit of you know, controversy over the winter with me moving teams. I feel that it was the best decision I ever made for my career. I've won 2 races this year. It took me over a year and a half to get my first one with Matt, so definitely a little bit of redemption, and it was nice to go beat my old crew chief.
Second win of the 2013 season. What's kind of your game plan going forward from now with Star Racing and you?
You know, we unfortunately, you know, we don't have a big 3, 4, 5 year, you know, lucrative deal that's going to, you know, keep us going forever. Wally's always help; those checks keep coming in, and I really think that, you know, moving forward for the rest of the year, we got a good shot to win the championship, and you know, we definitely welcome anybody that wants to come be a part of the team. We're definitely a great group of guys, and you know, just really keeping that momentum forward. I don't see any reason why we're not going to race next year and years further down the road, because as successful as we've been in the first 6 races, I think it just shows that if like a fine wine, the longer you let it sit and savor, the better it's going to be.
Practicing on the tree?
Believe it or not, none. I do not practice whatsoever. George has a pretty good theory on practicing practice trees. A computer is going to do the same thing every time. It's not race day. You can't take a chance at going in, somebody staging on you quick. It's not reality. So George actually tells us, you know, man, practice on your tree during qualifying. Let that be your practice. Sitting there on a practice tree can really get you in a bad rhythm. And the only time I really practice is we go to the local track in San Antonio and ride some street bikes. And you know, but other than that, man, it's just can't be afraid to fling that lever out when the lights flash.
Aggressive and too aggressive at getting that red light is in your head and in your foot thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. You definitely, we work on how far I roll the bike in when I stage. Believe it or not, an inch on our bikes is worth about 2 or 3 hundredths on the tree. And you know, so we definitely try and be repetitive with how I stage the bike and how that keeps me really consistent on the tree on Sundays. If you look at my lights during qualifying, they're not stellar because I don't want to give up any track. And we're definitely trying to go for ET. So like George tells me, as long as I hold the clutch lever the same, do the same thing during qualifying, and then if I need an inch during eliminations, roll it in there. Take a 100th out of the tree if you feel like you need it. And you know, last weekend in Epping, you know, I didn't stick it in there against Adam. We felt that we were going to have a bike to be able to drive back around him, and I had a 050, I think like a 057. Today, every round, I put it in there about another inch, and I think my worst light for the day, other than second round when I had a bye run, was I think my 16 in the final, or my 16 against Hector. So
you talked about how you don't have any fear knowing that you have the people behind you that you do. Do you feel that this is an awfully fast time to get used to these people? Oh,
well, you know, I worked with them in 2008 when Angel went back and teamed up with George. I was riding for John Hammock at the time, and elected to kind of get off the bike and go learn the ins and outs of the business of racing. And spending a year at the Star Racing shop in Americus, Georgia, really paved the way for me being able to come out and be consistent and be confident. And I've been a customer of Star Racing since 2005. I bought my first race bike from them. You know, won my first HDRA championship on a G-squared Star Racing Gangster. So racing together and working together, you know, and are kind of two different things. But we all get along. We hang out every day when we can. So we've got a good mojo team going. And you know, I think one thing that I've said before. I go home to Green Harley-Davidson in New Braunfels, Texas, and I sell brand new Harley-Davidsons and see people live their dream and have so much fun doing that, that when I come to the races, I'm probably one of the few men out here, or women for that matter, that my day job has zero reflection on how I do on Sunday. So if I don't win, I'm not going to get yelled at when I go home and go to work. So why not be ruthless and tell everybody, you don't like me, get out of my way. You know, you have nothing to lose here, so I'm going to be the hero, or I'm just going to be Michael Ray. And being Michael Ray isn't a bad thing right now.
Go ahead.
How does that all work? They're in Americas, you're in New Braunfels, and you know, you're out in Oregon. Scotty's out in Oregon.
Luckily, the Valdosta Regional Airport has a nice connector from Delta, and it's about a 3-hour flight over there. So a lot of texting, a lot of emails, and it's pretty inexpensive to chunk my little butt on a plane and go over there and do some testing. And but you know, I talk to George every day. It's no different than you know, I just got to give him a call.
And Scotty, does he still lives back?
Yeah, he's still in Oregon. Same way. I mean, you know, and unfortunately for him, you know, with his tire shop, he's there. You know, he's really hands-on, you know, in his ownership of that. So for him to go home and go testing is pretty difficult. And actually now with Chaz Kennedy, our third rider, he graduated high school. He's actually at the shop now, so we're going to use him as the jockey and do some testing so that one, you know, if we need to come over, I can fly over. But, you know, big thing is they're an hour from South Georgia Motorsports Park, and they can put Chaz on any one of our bikes, and Chaz is plenty capable of going just as fast as we do. So that makes it really nice for Scotty and I to not have to worry about when we come to the track, how's the bike going to react? Because we know exactly what we got, and right now we got some really fast S&S powered Buells.